Hello everyone, I'm Brandon, and I'm back again to do a commentary, this time on John Dupee. It's either Dupy or Dupee. I've kind of heard both. I'm not sure what has officially been settled on, but I'll go with John Dupee. He's from the Hansen versus Predator sting, and I think people have been requesting him. He's kind of a popular predator in some ways, a very unpopular predator in other ways, and kind of like a lot of these guys, it's being one of the most popular ones isn't necessarily a good thing, but he's one of the more interesting ones. So let's watch this here and see what's going on with John.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, boo. Where are you?
I'm not.
Yeah, so right away, extremely creepy voice, just the way he talks and the way he draws out his words there. Hello, hey, is I don't know if that's the way he talks with everyone, or if he's trying to make himself sound nicer, to be like sweet to the girl, to not scare her off, or maybe he thinks he's in love or something, so that's how he talks when he's all dripping with romance or something.
Outside. My sister just got back in the car.
Oh, okay. Just go through the back door so nobody sees you.
All right, I'm at the back door.
Just go in.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, I know this has been brought up before in other commentaries I've seen on this guy about why he's looking at his phone here. Obviously we can never know what's going on inside his mind. It could be a combination of things. Like, I don't think this guy has a lot of friends. His sister just left, so I don't think he's messaging her to be like, hey, I got here safely. I mean, like, he talked to her and she drove away like less than 15 seconds ago. So the two prevailing theories seem to be that he's either very shy and awkward and doesn't want to come in and make eye contact with her, so he's looking down at his phone, or it could be that he just wants to make it look like he's Joe Cool, and just he's got so much going on in his life that he can't give her attention right away because he's too busy talking to all his enormously huge social group on his phone. Could be a combination of both. He did kind of lie about his appearance, like the picture that he sent. I'm pretty sure he looked much healthier than he does now. If he's got a meth problem, he's lost a lot of weight. He just looks kind of very gaunt and gross. And it's, I could see why he would not want to see the look of disgust on the girl's face, which I've never understood. Like, when you're going to meet someone, don't you want them to have a good impression? Like, don't you want them to know what you look like? Like, I've done online dating before, and I always make sure that my picture looks like me, so that when I meet someone, they don't have the wrong impression. Because, like, do you really want to meet someone and then they're going to be disappointed? So, like, if you put on a lot of weight, don't show a picture when you're thin and then you show up and you've put on 100 pounds. Like, that's, you could say that's discriminatory all you want, but it's the truth. If I meet someone, I want them to look like the picture. That's why I always liked people that, with women I'd meet online that had multiple pictures, because if it was just one, they could have just picked the one good picture of themselves from 8 years ago that looks good. Whereas if they have a whole bunch of pictures, you kind of get an average of them. And it's, not everyone is going to be, the most absolute fit, best looking person, but just show what you really look like. And then if someone likes that and wants to meet with you, there's not going to be a problem. But if you kind of are deceptive about your appearance and you have degenerated yourself through drugs to the point where you look disgusting, and then you show up and have to stare at your phone just to cover up any possible negative reaction to yourself, I mean, that means you kind of have something going on in your life that you should probably fix.
Hey, what'd you bring?
And I don't know about the way this guy's dressed. Like, I'm not sure what styles were like at this time in that part of the United States. It just seems like very, I don't know, say very casual wear for a man of 40 who's going out to kind of meet what he thinks is like a romantic kind of partner. Granted that she's way too young, illegally young, but it's like, would you really go on a date like this? Like, he just looks like, it looks like this is, I would say, like what a teenager dresses like. Just seems like he never grew out of how he dressed, like in the 90s or something. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of the first impression I would get.
What did you bring? Presents.
What do you got? Show
And
me.
of course, nervous Nellie, she's definitely one of the braver decoys. And she has it, like, even Dell never had to interact with these guys. She would just, make an excuse about the banister or whatever, and then, run before the guy even, like, saw her. Whereas Nellie here has to stand with them and have a conversation with them, while at the same time not being too obvious that she wants to get the hell away from them. So, she kind of slowly moves around the table just to put some distance between them. It's kind of a funny picture there in the background. Is that a guy with a chef's hat on there? I don't think I've ever really paid attention to that. I wonder if this is like if they kind of designed this little piece of the house here, or if this is how the homeowner actually keeps that, and that's the homeowner's picture. There's a kind of a little, is that a fedora, that hat that's hanging on the back there? I'm not sure what kind of hat that is, but looks like the hat from the old guy in Jurassic Park. Looks like that kind of hat.
Me.
Just look how she's standing too.
Nice.
Like, that just looks like the most uncomfortable, awkward way for her to stand. I think she's trying to stand naturally, but she wants to kind of keep her hands prepared. It's kind of like how, the police officers say that, they keep their hands up, not in like a dukes up kind of ready to fight kind of motion, but you kind of like have to keep your arms up a little bit ready in case someone like lunges at you and you have to like fend them off. So it seems like her hands are just dangling there, like she's ready to push him away if he like comes towards her or something. It just seems like you can just tell she is stiff as a board. And this, I don't think that John here picks up on it. And he just looks like a skeleton that's had his skin painted. Like, he's just so thin and like, I don't know, he just looks like a huge creep. I don't know.
What kind is it?
And he doesn't even answer her. Like, what kind is it? And he just doesn't even answer her. And he's making all these stupid faces. Like, is this just something he does normally? Like, he just always has goofy, dumb looks on his face when he does everything. Like, it's something like it made the guys in junior high laugh, so he just continues doing it to this day.
Thank you. It's nice to finally see you. This is crazy.
And yeah, maybe he's worried about his rotted teeth because he didn't answer her when she asked about the drink. And then the first time he says anything is, yeah, right there. But he's covering his mouth with his hand. And it looks like he's covering his mouth on the side that's facing her. So it could be he just has gross teeth, and it could be maybe the reality kind of hit him. Like when they were talking online, it was fine because he could put on a different persona and he could be all confident. But now that he's with her, it's probably running through his mind that, oh, she's an attractive person, a normal person, whereas he's a ghoulish skeleton creep with nothing going on in his life. So maybe that kind of came crashing down on him, and he just all of a sudden became super self-conscious about himself. And just how big he is too. Like he has to like lean down on the table like that just to be like eye level with her.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm really nervous.
Why?
I don't know, I've never done this. Have you?
No.
So what do you want to do?
A hug?
I don't know.
And like, who the hell hugs someone like that? Let's watch that again.
So what do you want to do?
A hug?
I don't know.
Like he puts his arms up like he's the abominable snowman or something. Like he just, like, who does that? Like you look like Frankenstein enough. Don't put your arms out like that. It just makes it all that worse. I guess if you're hugging someone who's like a foot and a half taller than you, you would have to like reach up like that just to kind of like reach their neck or something. But for a smaller person, wouldn't his arms have to be down? Or does he just, kind of like the ridiculous theatrics he did with the, pulling out the things out of the bag and making faces? Like everything he does has to be theatrical, so he has to like throw his arms up like that just to make an extra big performance out of throwing this huge hug around her. Like he just can't do anything properly or non-creepy. And of course, Nellie there did the right thing by just saying, I don't know, and then just leaving the room immediately. I'm sure they kind of make sure that all the decoys are clear. Like the slightest thing goes wrong, you're uncomfortable, just run. Like don't put your safety in jeopardy just for the sake of in making entertaining television. So just run if there's a problem. And obviously this was a problem. Which is kind of unfortunate that John screwed up like this, because I would have liked to, kind of more like they did with Jeff Sokol, I would have loved to see more of a conversation between them two. Because you get kind of more of that, those kind of candid kind of revelations from them, since they don't know that they're in trouble yet. So it's kind of nice to just hear them talk a bit before they know they're in shit.
Hey, Boot. Hey.
And Chris Hansen comes out, but it looks like he's still smiling. Watch this, like when she disappears around the corner and he follows her, he still has a big smile on his face.
Hey, Boot.
Does he think that, oh, this is some kind of a game she's playing, and he's like just smiling and kind of laughing because, oh, it's this funny game that she's kind of playing hard to get and making him chase her? Or I guess the more terrifying way to look at it would be like he's sensing that she's uncomfortable and she's probably going to go up to her room, and he could follow her there, and all of a sudden now he's kind of more in like predator mode and know that she's kind of running scared, and he's kind of like thrilled with the possibilities of what he could do. My gut tells me that's probably not what he was thinking, but I mean, who freaking knows? If he's willing to go this far and do this kind of thing, you really can't. A guy who's willing to do this, you can't say, well, he'd never go as far as doing such and such. Like, you just never know. Once your moral compass is that messed up, like, there's no telling what someone's capable of.
Hey. Get a seat right around that stool out of there front, please.
And he just immediately goes back to his phone. Like, maybe that's just his comfort thing, the way he deals with anything, any uncomfortable situation. He just goes on his phone so that he doesn't have to deal with it. He doesn't have to look anyone in the eye.
Oh, right there. Please have a seat. Right there. Set the phone down, please.
Yeah, that's the face of a guy who's trying to look tough but knows he's in shit. He's probably done this face a lot of times, from his family getting, when he's in some sort of trouble, or from police when he's in trouble. Like, I bet you this guy was always getting in shit when he was in school. Like, I bet you he's been like a fuck up his entire life. And I think we've probably all known guys like this. There's probably like at least one in every neighborhood. Remember this guy? I'm not going to say his name where I grew up. Actually, his name was Jeff. I'll give his first name. But he's, the kind of guy when you're like, 11, 12, and he's a bit older, like 14, and he's kind of the neighborhood, like, tough or, quote, cool guy. He smokes cigarettes. He's always skipping school. He's always the ones in some kind of trouble. And, the boys kind of look up to him. Like, he's the rebellious kind of badass, which when you're 14 is, maybe you could be forgiven. But by the time you're 40, that is no longer cool. People no longer look up to a guy like that who acts like he's a teenager. And, I mean, committing any crime is bad, but this is obviously the worst of the worst. But he's just he's like a drug addict. He just can't live on his own. He needs a sister to drive him around. Like, he's just like a loser in every definition of the word. So it's no wonder that, like, women this guy's age would have no interest in him. Like, and just like even from this, like the way he dresses, the way he acts, the faces he makes. I suppose that someone that had some annoying tendencies but was otherwise successful in life, maybe they could find some sort of success in the relationship department. But just for a guy like this who has nothing to offer, and judging from his chat log, like, I bet you he thinks he's a sweet, kind, romantic guy. Like, he thinks he's a nice guy. He probably is so delusional. He probably blames, society or his family or his teachers or the cops or just everyone for his predicament. And in his own mind, he thinks he's like the hero of his own story when he's just like a complete loser. And guys like this will probably never learn. Like, if you haven't gotten your act together by the time you're 40, I could say it's not impossible, but like, you have a lot of work to do.
What is your plan here tonight?
Just hang out, watch football?
Hang out and watch football with whom?
With her.
Who's her?
With Bailey.
Bailey. And how did you meet Bailey exactly?
Through Whisper.
Whisper.
And look, he's got like, is it just bad posture? Or it looks like he's like a humpback or something. He's got that definite curvature to his back. So yeah, I don't know what the cause of that is. I'm not a medical expert. But maybe just a lifetime of being hunched over his phone all the time has like messed up his back.
Mm-hmm. And do you know how old Bailey is?
She's 14.
14.
Mm-hmm.
She told you she's 13. Not that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, these guys always lie about their own age and the age of the decoy. Making her 14 instead of 13, does that make what you're doing that much better? Like, it's still illegal. You're still going to go to jail. Like, it's not any less disgusting.
Mm-hmm. How old are you?
30.
Yeah, he's lying. He's 40.
And why would you at 30 think it would be okay to hang out with a 13-year-old girl home alone?
I mean, we just hit it off, friends.
You hit it off with a 13-year-old girl.
Just
Yeah, and I bet you he probably doesn't think he did anything wrong. His chat log, while it was creepy as hell, he did say a lot of inappropriate things, but I think he said a lot more non-sexual things than a lot of the predators. Like, a lot of the predators are only talk about sex. That's their whole thing. Whereas with him, they talked about sports and other stuff. I think he honestly thought that he was making some kind of friend, and he's maybe one of the few that had intentions of making this a long-term thing. He wasn't just gonna, do what he was gonna do and then run away, never to be seen again. He probably wanted to form some sort of relationship where they would see each other on a regular basis. But it doesn't matter what what they talked about or anything. He's just as guilty as all the rest of them. Like, we know the reason he came over there, and even if he didn't talk about anything sexual in his chat log, like we've seen, like with in the Mike Manzi situation, it's still just so inappropriate to do that. Like, who would even think to do that? Like, just to go over to like a young teenager's house when they're like home alone. Any normal person, a rational person you would just say no. You would never do that. It's kind of like that detective says to Jeff Sokol when he's interrogating him. He's like, it's not just like a little bit wrong, or he's like, it's not a little bit okay or situationally okay. Like, he's like, it's so wrong. But these guys like just don't get it. And you could tell even here when Chris asks him why he thought it would be okay for him to go there. It's like he kind of moves his eyes around a bit, like he's trying to search for an answer. It's almost like he's so confused by the question that he's like, how do I even answer that? Like, to him, it's so obvious that he was there for good intentions. Let's watch that again.
Home alone.
I mean, we just hit it off, friends.
You hit it off with a 13-year-old girl.
We were just talking.
And like, do you ever really like? I don't have any kids or any nieces or nephews or anything, so like I don't really ever talk to people of that age. Like, do you really hit it off? Like, especially when you're like an adult, even like an older adult, there's always going to be a bit of a disconnect. That's why, like, when you're a kid, like, that's why your parents don't like hang out with you and your friends, because they're a different stage in life, and like they just talk about different things, and it's just not that fun to be around. It's why you don't want to like hang out with your grandparents and their friends all the time. Like, you're just you're a different generation, different age, you have different interests, that it's going to be hard to find anything in common other than seeing them occasionally at family events or whatever, or talking to them one-on-one. But like, who the hell ever talks to a 13-year-old person, and whether you have any bad intent or not, and then just think, oh wow, they're so cool, we hit it off and became good friends, I want to hang out with them. Like, that's just doesn't really happen. Teenagers tend to be kind of annoying a lot of the time, so like, why would you ever want to purposely befriend them and hang out with them?
Just talking. Well, now you're here. This is more than talk.
I know, we just came to hang out. I brought
get a hug
and watch football.
Look at his hair there. It looks like he's got that kind of line across his head. It looks like almost like he's wearing a hairnet over top of his hair, like one of those ones you have to wear if you have long hair in a kitchen restaurant. The way his greasy hair is, it just looks kind of strange.
Watch football.
Yep.
Who's playing tonight?
Steelers and the Ravens.
And of course, that's one of his famous, probably his most famous line from this little episode here. And it's kind of funny how much determination he says that with. Chris is calling him out on a lie. Who's playing? Probably Chris was hoping that he wouldn't even know, so he could say, oh, so you're coming to watch the football game, you don't even know who's playing. But he's like, no, I'm so confident with who's playing, which is true. You could see from the chat log that he obviously is a football fan, so he would know who's playing. But it doesn't matter. Even if he was there to watch football, the other stuff he was there to do is what he's in trouble for.
Yep.
Who's playing tonight?
Steelers and the Ravens. I had no intentions with nothing.
No intentions of
Nope.
Well, John, what do you do for a living?
I was working at UPS.
UPS.
Mm-hmm.
And see, yeah, he was working at UPS, which means he is no longer working at UPS. And you can tell it's probably something that he's self-conscious about, and people have pointed out that he doesn't have a job. So instead of saying, I'm unemployed or I'm not doing anything right now, he says, I was working at UPS. So it's like, well, that's not what they asked you. They asked you, like, what do you do for a living? Where are you working? They mean now. They don't mean, what did you used to do? And it also means, like, how do you, like, UPS, I'm sure it's a fine company and everything, but, like, it's not a job that requires a high level of education. So for the fact that he left, he obviously, since he doesn't have a job now, he didn't leave to pursue something better, for a better opportunity. He was likely either fired or he just quit, or, something to do with his drug use interfered to the point where, he was fired or he quit or stopped going or whatever. So I bet you that's not the first time it's happened, and it's probably been a constant source of he's probably had, assuming his parents are well-adjusted people, he's probably had that talk before where they've had to kind of give him an intervention kind of thing about getting his act together. But if he hasn't done it by this point, like, they've probably lost hope.
What do you do for a living?
I was working at UPS.
UPS? Mm-hmm. And did you walk here today, or?
No, my sister dropped me off.
You don't have a driver's license?
Yeah, I do.
No car?
No.
So what do you do at UPS?
And, Chris is kind of making fun of him there. But I don't think, like, obviously, yeah, driving is it's a big deal. And, not to get too personal here, but I just got my license back. I got a DUI like 14 years ago when I was younger and stupider. And, I quit drinking soon after that. I just, it's expensive to own a car. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I just ride around on a bus. Like, keeps your expenses down. Rely on if other people were going somewhere, I'd catch a ride and give them gas money and stuff, and I just got used to it. So you can get around in a big city with a car or without a car. But there's always in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what, like you do have that loss of freedom, and I didn't really think people looked down on me, but there was like part of me that was like a little bit self-conscious. That's like, a grown man should at least have a driver's license and be able to drive a car. And it just kind of like, once so many years went by, I got used to it. And I knew the transportation system, so I could zip around anywhere I wanted. But finally, just at the beginning of December here, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna I had to go through all these steps because even though it was like 14 years ago, I still had all these legal things I had to go through. And then I had to go and like re-get my learner's permit, and then I had to go and retake the driver's test and all these other steps I had to go through. But I finally did it. I was like, you know what? Like, now I feel so much more confident. It's like I actually got a car now. I can drive wherever I want. And now I kind of look back, and it's like, yeah, it is one of those things. It's just one of those things like finishing high school that it's like, you can be successful without doing it, but there's just like those certain milestones in life that as an adult that you really should hit. Things, yeah, like driving is one of them, like just finishing school, like at the very least high school, and just having a job, just like having some sort of gainful employment and living in your own place. And I don't know if John here lives at home, but I heard like now he's living like in a homeless shelter. So I doubt he had his own place. He's probably never been able to get his act together to a point where he could keep a job long enough to maintain his own apartment and own a vehicle. And so he just relies on other people to drive him everywhere. And then he just constantly acts like a complete little douchebag thug, getting in constant trouble with drugs and everything. And before, maybe his parents, when he was like 21, they could kind of brush it off like, oh, he's going through a bad phase. But by now, we see that he's probably never going to improve.
Package handler.
Package handler. You're not there anymore?
No.
What do you do now?
Nothing.
Besides go online and try to talk to young girls.
And yeah, and that's kind of true, is that, giving people more time to not do anything productive probably is going to lead them to do more of this bad stuff. Even like with James Rutherford, like as soon as his wife left, and like all of a sudden he's got ample free time to sit on the internet and do horrible things. So if this, say John was working a full-time job like he should be, and he had other hobbies, so he would do other things, and he had a healthy social network of friends that he did stuff with and family, he would have less time just to be trolling online, having long conversations with teenage girls. But as soon as guys have nothing going on in their life and they're kind of a loser in every other area, and you give them just hours and hours alone, guys like this are going to get into trouble.
No.
Nothing.
Besides go online and try to talk to young girls.
I don't try to talk to... I just try to find a girl to talk to and hang out, whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he's accusing you of there. I wonder if John... I wonder if he tries to talk to adult women and they just pay him no attention, and he just eventually started, well, maybe if I can trick a dumber teenage girl into it. I wonder if that's what he did, or does he just straight off prefer that age? Or it could be he probably knows on some level that he is very, very immature. So a 40-year-old woman, or basically any woman, even by the mid-20s, would probably be more mature than him and would just see him as a complete clown that would not even take him seriously. But he probably just remembers back in his earlier days when he was in, high school and before, he was probably kind of popular. I don't know, maybe he was, I don't think he was ever seen as the cool kid. Like, I doubt he was a jock. But he probably had a circle of people that thought he was probably a goofball, and people thought he was funny, and they would put up with him like that. he maybe just never grew out of that, where he realized he's still in his own mind, he's still back in those days. And I doubt this guy, reads a lot or, watches any sort of engaging television or movies. Like, I bet you he's just, nothing wrong with sports, but maybe that's the extent of what he does. Like, he's probably not into anything that a reasonably intelligent adult would be in. Like, he probably listens to conversations about politics or anything and just can't follow it. Like, I can't see him being a smart guy, right? He just smokes meth and acts like a scumbag and then goes after teenage girls.
And how many times have you done this with somebody who's 13, 14 years old?
Never.
Never talked to another girl who said she was 13?
Nope.
Well, who's Brittany?
Who's Brittany?
And see, the Brittany thing, I'm unsure. Actually, in one of the comments in the Kevin Westerbeck video I did, someone recommended watching or listening to Chris Hansen's podcast, which I actually did. Right before I'm doing this recording right now, I listened to the episode where he's talking about John Dupee. And Chris brings up this whole Brittany thing again, that apparently John Dupee was talking to some other girl named Brittany. I was always under the impression that was a mistake. I thought Brittany was one of the other predators and the sting was talking to them, and Chris got confused here. Because something about John Dupee's reaction here, I kind of believe him that he has no idea who Brittany is. Because the thing is, like with Bailey, with the girl he's there to meet, he's kind of forthcoming that he's showed up and he didn't have any bad intent. Like, he's not really lying about anything. I mean, he's lying about his intent, but he's opening it up that he's like, yeah, I came here, but I didn't have anything bad to do. So why would he all of a sudden lie about knowing this other girl? And it seems like Chris drops the whole Brittany thing quick. Like, if it was true, he could be like, here's the chat you had with this Brittany girl, proving that you were talking to two girls. But Chris just kind of awkwardly drops it and then changes the subject. So I was always under the impression that he got the predators confused and Brittany was the decoy for another predator. However, after listening to the podcast, he said again that John was talking to a good girl named Brittany. So now I'm just confused and don't know what to believe.
Girl who said she was 13?
Nope.
Well, who's Brittany?
Who's Brittany?
That was the other girl you were talking to.
When was this?
Within the last few weeks. So you say to Bailey...
Yeah, so it just seems like a strange interaction.
On Whisper, that you're 30, how old are you? She says 13. You say, you're not 13 in that pic? Yes, I'll be 14 next month. That's pretty clear. You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do. And later you tell her, I would love to be the first guy to make you blank if you wanted me to, and I wanted to. Feel me inside you, baby. Has that line...
It's kind of funny, too. Just look at the paper that Chris Hansen is holding there. It's like that's the chat log printed out, but it's like stapled together, but it has the show's letterhead on it. They're like big graphics. It's kind of funny.
And I wanted to. Feel me inside you, baby. Has that line ever worked for you before?
No.
Then why do you do that now?
There was no... I mean...
It's kind of... I don't know if that's considered a loaded question, but like, has that line ever worked for you before? And he says no. Does that mean that he uses that line frequently and that it has never worked? Or does it mean that he has never used that line? Because if he's used... Why would you use a ridiculously stupid line like that trying to pick up girls and it's never worked for you before, then you continue using it? Like, that is stupid. He should have just said, I've never said that to anyone before.
No.
Then why do you do that now?
There was no... I mean...
Well, what am I to make of this?
There was no intentions made by it.
That shows clear intent. I want you to feel me inside you. What did you mean by that exactly? And then you talk about that you and...
He can't even answer that. Maybe the realization is hitting him that, like, once he's confronted with it, because maybe in his own mind, maybe he was that delusional that he thought that, like, I really am only coming over here to watch the game. I never said anything that bad. I have no bad intentions. I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. And then when someone reads you, like, here's this thing you said. What does that mean? And he can't come up with an answer because there's only one thing that could ever mean.
shows clear intent. I want you to feel me inside you. What did you mean by that exactly? And then you talk about that you and a bunch of people snuck into a mansion and partied for days. Where was that mansion?
That was a while ago.
How long ago?
Maybe 8, 9 years ago.
Oh, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of guy he is too, that he tries to impress people with like juvenile things like that. Like, who would ever be impressed with that if like you met someone like as an adult and they were like trying to show off to you how cool they were by telling you they like broke into a mansion and partied there for a few days? I could see if you're just, telling stories with friends about, stupid things you did when you were younger. That's fine, but he's trying to like pick up a girl basically, whether or not it's a kid or a adult. Like, why would you brag about that? Like, she's going to be impressed by juvenile criminal behavior like that?
This does not look very good for you, John. The chat, the appearance, the Cheetos, the dark chocolate. Did you bring condoms with you?
He was very quick to answer that. Some of the other questions, like the questions about what did you mean by that, he just never even answered. But when he asks about condoms, like he says no before Chris even finishes his sentence.
Chocolate. Did you bring condoms with you? Not in your pockets?
Nope.
But you see how this looks.
Absolutely. I mean...
You're 30 years old. The girl you were talking to told you very clearly she was 13.
And I mean, I had no intentions just besides...
John, why don't you just tell me what you were really up to?
Just to hang out, get to know her,
Get to know her.
Yeah.
But like, he was getting to know her online, like sometimes there's behavior like this that is so far outside of what a normal person would do. I have a hard time understanding like even the basic motivation to do it. Things that are wrong, like say, like stealing, someone robs a bank. I would never ever in a million years do that, but I get the motivation is you want money. I understand why people would want money. I get why they need money. So the chance to get a large amount of money with very little effort, like at least I get that kind of motivation. I would be like, I get it. It's still wrong. But for this, like I struggle to even, it's like you can't even put your mind in the mindset of someone who would want to do that. I get why you would want to meet a romantic partner, like an adult. But what he's saying is that he didn't even want that. He had no sexual intention. He only wanted to meet them and hang out with them. Like, why put all that effort into just like meeting like a teenager that you have like nothing in common with, and then there's nothing good that could ever come of that. Like, you have to worry about parents being there, sneaking around her parents and waiting till they're not home. Like, there's all this bullshit that you would have to deal with in maintaining that friendship, if that's what he says it's going to be. It just seems like there's no other logical explanation that he's lying. He just went there to have sex with her and got caught and is trying to lie that he was not going to do that.
And if you were the parent of a 13-year-old girl, would you be comfortable with that?
I mean, it depends how if I'm a good person,
And yeah, like fuck you, John. There's no, even other scumbags like, Timothy Isaac, there's a lot of these other dirtballs that are, when asked that question, they're like, I would hate it. Any man would hate that. Any woman too would absolutely hate for a 40 or 30 whatever year old man to be alone with their young daughter. There's no one that would ever not say that. So for him to try to make up this bullshit excuse that it would depend if they're a good person, any man that came home and found a 13-year-old daughter hanging out alone with some 40-year-old man, especially one that looked like this guy, there's no man alive that would wait to see if he was a good person. Like, you would just sit there and kind of chat with them and make up your own mind. Bad things would be happening to that man, that's for sure. Like, just the fact that he can't even admit that, like, his mind is so clouded by the fact that he thinks he's a nice guy that he couldn't see why someone else's, like, the girl's parents would have a problem with this. Like, is that what he's saying? Like, that is insane.
A 13-year-old girl, would you be comfortable with that?
I mean, it depends how if I'm a good person,
Yeah, but typically good people don't meet strangers online, talk about sex.
And how does he think he's a good person? Like, he's literally been in trouble with the law a bunch of times. He knows he has a drug problem. Like, he can't keep a job. Like, he just overlooks these things. Like, I think he probably blames it on, I bet he blames it on everything. Like, he probably lost his job because he was not showing up, or he's not showing up late, or he was showing up high, or he was just incompetent and couldn't do the job, so he got fired. And I bet you he blamed his boss. I bet you he kind of came home from work, like, every day and would just bitch to his sister or whoever about how much of an asshole his boss was, even though it was totally his fault. And everything he does is his fault somehow. You know, he gets busted for drug possession by the cops and probably blames it on them, or he blames it on whoever he was with, and somehow justifies it that he was the victim in all these situations. And then he just thinks he's a good person.
I mean, it depends how, if I'm a good person, you know, like...
Yeah, but typically good people don't meet strangers online, talk about sex, and then go over to visit, and within 3 minutes ask for a hug.
I mean, all they did was just ask for, a hello hug. That was it.
I will give him that little bit. Obviously, with a 13-year-old like that, it's completely inappropriate. But I don't think it's wrong to hug someone you just met. Like, people do it all the time if you're a hugging kind of person. You know, back when I used to be on Match back in the day, and I met, dated a lot of women on there, and yeah, it's completely normal. You talk to them online and you meet them in real life and give them a hug when you meet them. That's kind of a normal thing. I mean, even mafia guys hug each other. Like, it's not that inappropriate. In this situation, it is, because they just met. She's 13 and he has nefarious intentions. Like, it's wrong. But in most situations, like, a hello hug is not. There's nothing really sexual about it.
3 minutes, ask for a hug.
I mean, all they did was just ask for, a hello hug. That was it.
With a 13-year-old girl. Walked right in the house.
Well, she told me to come in.
Does that make it right? Knowing that she's 13.
Oh, I wouldn't have never just walked in, without talking to her, without getting her okay.
And again, here, it's like, yeah, I don't think he would have broken in, although he did break into that mansion, apparently, but yeah, like, she did invite him in and everything. He's kind of right about that, but he's kind of missing the big point, is like, why are you there to begin with? Just because a 13-year-old tells you, they're home alone, that you can come over, you should know enough to say no, that's inappropriate. So, but this is probably how he responds to everything. Like, he probably just has an excuse for everything he's ever done wrong in his life. There's some sort of a reason why he's not responsible for it.
Now, you talked about spending the night here tonight.
Well,
yes or no?
it depended, if she had to wake up in the morning, if I was going to stay here.
Did she have to go to school?
She said she didn't have to go to school today. I mean...
I think he missed the inference that Chris was making with that. He's just like, oh, she didn't have to go to school. Well, you're just admitting, like, someone that's going to school and it's not university, like, that's a big problem. These guys that were going to sleep over, like, isn't that a huge, huge risk? Like, he's basically trusting her that the parents are going to be away all that time, that they're not going to come home for any reason. Like, that is there's so many chances that could go bad for you. It's kind of like if you were having, like, an affair with a married person. Like, meet somewhere that isn't the person's home. Because if they're like, oh, my husband or my wife is gone for the night, but they could come home. Like, what if you're, like, laying there in bed and all of a sudden it's 7 a.m. and they come walking through the door? Like, it's a very dangerous situation. It'd be better to do it somewhere else. Like, why would you take that kind of risk? Like, obviously, if their criminality has reached a point where they're going to go this far, it's like they probably just have a complete lack of judgment, and they have no sense of self-preservation, that they're not even going to try not to get busted, so they're just going to trust the girl that her parents are gone and then, like, spend the night there. But yeah, it just seems like if they had any sense of keeping themselves out of trouble, they wouldn't do this to begin with, or they would just take more precautions. And that's why even the idiots that ask them, like, are you a police officer? And then the decoy says no, they just show up. Like, that's all the proof they need. They have some sort of, like, sense inside to verify that they're not going to get in trouble, but they're so willing to just, they want to go so badly that it's very easy just to convince them and to brush those fears off.
And tomorrow.
So you could just spend the night and hang out with a 13-year-old girl. That's cool.
Well, I mean, I didn't plan on it.
You talked about it?
I mean, I was going to leave after the football game.
Unless you spent the night.
No, I didn't plan on spending the night.
Well, you talked about having cannolis, a little dinner.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were going to have a special little night with your 13-year-old date.
Just come over, have some cannolis, some snacks, watch the football game.
Who's ringing you up?
My cousin.
Your cousin?
Yeah.
What does your cousin want? Does your cousin know that you're coming to visit a 13-year-old girl tonight?
No.
I like how that cousin made a cameo in this video. I wonder if that cousin ever like watches this, or if he watched it and just kind of found it amusing that he was there. It's not as bad as being, say a tag along, who you actually show up and you get your face on the show when you had nothing to do with it. At least no one knows this cousin's name, so he can kind of get away anonymously. And it also kind of makes you wonder, like, his sister drove him there, his cousin is texting him. Like, is this guy, like, such a loser that he's long lost any sort of friend? Like, anyone that is not connected to him through family would not hang out with him. So the only people in his life that he corresponds with are people that are family, because they're basically stuck with him. So it just seemed like, is that possible? It's hard to say because it's only two people, one sister, one cousin, that we've seen an example of. I wonder if the cousin was talking to his sister and was like, oh, you dropped him off at some girl's house and he just wanted an update on that, or, maybe I'm just speculating, but it just seems weird that the two people he's mentioned are both family members, because I doubt this guy has a lot of friends, or at least friends that aren't just surface level, drug friends.
Your sister?
No, she knows that I was just coming to hang out with a girl.
So what would your sister think if she knew she was dropping you off at the home where a 13-year-old girl was alone? Think she'd be cool with that?
She probably would say, just don't do it, don't do anything stupid,
Don't.
Obviously that means that, like, the fact that Chris asked this and John's answering, that means that, he, like you said, the sister does not know that the girl is 13. So the fact that he didn't tell her this detail, I guess you could argue that he just didn't think it was a big enough deal to mention her age. It just seems the fact that came up, like, that's a pretty important detail. Like I've said in other commentaries, like, a person's age, especially when it's that drastically different from yours, like, it would be something worthy of kind of mentioning. It's a kind of thing, like, yeah, if you found out, even say, like, your 30-year-old kid was dating a 60-year-old, that's a big enough age difference that, it's legal and, there's not much you could do about it. But it would be something that likely the family people would be talking about. It's just something that would be mentioned. It would be a topic of discussion. It's the kind of thing someone would notice. So just the fact that he kind of kept this secret, that this girl, that he's 40 and she's 13, he didn't tell his sister. Like, he probably didn't tell her because she probably would have had a problem with it.
She probably would say, just don't do it, don't do anything stupid,
Don't do anything stupid.
Right.
It seems like you've already done that.
All I was doing was just coming here to watch the game.
You tried to solicit a 13-year-old girl online using graphic sexual language. What do you think should happen to you?
Sir, I'm not like that and a bad guy. Trust me.
How does this look?
I think he meant to say, I'm not a bad guy, but he said, I'm a bad guy. Maybe it's like his subconscious knows exactly what he is, so it won't even allow him to say those words properly.
Using graphic sexual language. What do you think should happen to you?
Sir, I'm not like that and a bad guy. Trust me.
How does this look? How does that look? John, you tell me, how does it look? If you were me, what would you think?
That I honestly made a mistake.
That you made a mistake.
And it's kind of pathetic, too, just to be a grown man of this age and just having someone give you shit over a stupid thing you did. I mean, this is more criminal and evil than normal. But it's like, when you're a little kid, I'm sure a lot of people have had that experience. I certainly did, where you're always doing stupid things and your dad's always, like, giving you shit and you're kind of sitting there, like, looking at the floor with your head hung low, and, it's just like, you don't know why you did it. You just, you went out and did some stupid vandalism, or, things that aren't that bad, but that you shouldn't have been doing, and then your dad has to, like, yell at you, and then you feel all bad about yourself, and, that happens to kids, and it probably always has throughout history. But by the time you're, like, 40 years old, you shouldn't have some stranger just sitting there grilling you over something you did, because you should have your life together where even things like poor performance at work, or just, you don't screw up on a level where you have to, like, be spoken down to and be humiliated. So there's just something pathetic about him just having to sit here all sweaty looking up at this guy and try to, like, defend his actions.
Well, that's true. And how would you define that mistake?
Not to talk to girls, like, online.
And I know Jesse Velez kind of had the same thing too, where the whole don't go into strangers' houses or don't go into people's houses. It's like, are they so delusional that they don't understand the point here? You're allowed to talk to people online. You could talk to anyone online. Make sure they're adults, and especially if you're going to be talking anything sexual, but you're allowed to talk to anyone you want about anything, except this one specific thing. We're talking about sexual things with an underage person. That's like the one thing you can't do. And the fact that he doesn't understand that, and he thinks that the problem is he was talking to people online.
That I honestly made a mistake.
That you made a mistake. Well, that's true. And how would you define that mistake?
Not to talk to girls like online.
Or try to come over and have sex with them.
I wasn't trying to come over and have sex with her.
John, you want me to read it again? I would love to be the first guy to make you blank if you wanted me to, and I want you to feel me inside you, baby. What do you mean by that?
And that's the thing, is like his chat log, yeah, it had a lot of stuff in it. Like the sexual component made up a much smaller part than a lot of the predators. So I could see in his mind, he's like, yeah, we talked about a lot of different stuff. It wasn't all sexual. It was very, very little sexual stuff in it. But even if it was just that one line, that's still like, that topic should never come up with a 13-year-old. So like, you can't, the one line that Chris just read, that's enough to convict, hopefully it's enough to convict this guy, depending on the law, but it's definitely enough to make it wrong. Like, you can't say you had no intention. It's like that one thing was enough to prove that you had intention because you said what Chris just read. Like, there's no way around that.
I would love to be the first guy to make you blank if you wanted me to, and I want you to feel me inside you, baby. What do you mean by that? Sounds like sex to me.
I was just playing with her,
Just playing with her.
not playing with her, but, just seeing like where she was, like.
She was.
What does that even mean? Seeing where she was? Like, so you were just kind of like fishing for some sort of reciprocity where she would say sexual things to you too? Like, isn't that what he's trying to say that he was not doing? Like, it clearly means that he was trying to get something more out of her.
I was just playing with her,
Just playing with her.
not playing with her, but, just seeing like where she was, like.
She was 13.
I mean, I'd never had sex with her. I mean, I didn't plan on coming here to have sex with her.
Tonight, because I walked in.
And I didn't plan on it.
You didn't plan on it? Come on, you talked about it.
Like, that wasn't my intentions. I talked to her all day today about just coming over, watching the game, and just hanging out.
Salads.
About what?
You talked about salads.
About, like, food and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that apparently, I think in one of Fast Eddie's videos, he says, that he read the whole chat log and there's no mention of this salads thing. There's kind of some debate over whether or not Chris is once again confused with one of the other Predators chat logs. Towever, in the podcast I listened to today where Chris talks about John Dupee's episode here, he says that this was discussed, the whole tossing salad thing was discussed in a phone call. I haven't listened to all of, other than what they play in this episode here, I haven't listened to John's phone calls. I don't know if they're available or not, but so I guess I'm not sure if I'll ever have confirmation or whether or not that's true.
While we're watching the game.
This is a whole different kind of food here that you're talking about. So what do you think should happen to you, John? You're in a bit of a fix here.
I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Well, there's something you need to do. And that is, I'm Chris.
And I love how Chris is always just so kind of dismissive when it comes time to be like, well, guess what? He's about to bust him. It's not a lack of respect, but just that little bit, right? Where he just kind of looks at them and treats them with contempt. He's just like, well, listen, do you ever watch TV? It's just kind of funny how he's just like humiliating them that little bit. Listen to this.
I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Well, there's something you need to do, and that is, I'm Chris Hansen, and this is an investigation called Hansen versus Predator. Sir, if you want to leave, you should go out that door right there.
And yeah, I think it's been brought up before, the whole fact that these like new video cameras.
If you want to leave, you should go out that door right there.
Are much smaller, which I could see their point. Like, obviously the bigger, the bazooka cams are much more intimidating and just kind of funny looking, more impactful than these little ones. Although I was watching one of the True Blue episodes on YouTube, one of the newer ones, and I swear the cameras are pretty big. So I don't know if it's just a different style camera or if they just purposely chose a bigger one just so it'd be more like dramatic. Because I imagine now, like you could probably do this on a phone and get equal or even better camera quality, but you would kind of lose something with a tiny camera. I'm actually going to pay attention to that more often and see what kind of cameras they're using.
No.
That's so weird too. Chris mentioned that in the podcast, how he just pulls that curtain aside.
No.
It could be that he didn't know if he was supposed to go that way, or maybe he was just so interested he had to see what was going on behind the scenes that he just had to take a quick peek.
No.
Or maybe he just loves pulling curtains back. He just sees a curtain and he just can't help himself. He has to see what's behind it.
No. Stop, please.
Please come.
Just follow my commands. Do you have anything on you that's going to hurt us?
No, sir.
Any weapons? No. Can I see this scar?
Please, I'll sit.
Yep.
It's a little bit off topic, but it's kind of funny how when you watch these videos or any sort of real life interrogation footage, how different the interrogation rooms look than they do in movies and TV shows. Because obviously, movies and TV, they stage it to look good on camera. So the table's always in the middle of the room so that the detectives can like walk around it and they have enough room to get the the cameras and lights and everything in the room. And they want to have that bit of a background there behind the table so there's enough room to move around. Whereas in reality, it's always like a cramped, small room with a tiny table, and then the predator's kind of like sitting in a corner like this, which makes it in real life you don't want to give them that much space or anything. But it's just funny how most people most of their knowledge of courtroom dramas and police interrogations come from what they've seen on TV, but that's not it's not accurate. And yeah, John all of a sudden is crying here. Just tears of the situation that he's in. Like, I still don't think he understands the gravity of what he did. He probably just knows that he's in trouble again, and he's probably on some sort of parole, and so he's gonna go back to jail for even longer. And he's just such a sad sack that his life is so pitiful, but it's all his fault.
So why do you think you're here?
Because I went to that house.
Again, like, him and Jesse Velez should just get together and then they could spend their lives not going to other people's houses because they're going to get in trouble. Like, do they not get it? That there's nothing wrong with going to a person's house. You're allowed to go to other person's house with permission. And if you're not there for terrible illegal reasons. So why would they possibly think, like, there's something in their mind they can't connect, like, the crime to what is wrong with what they were doing. They think the problem is going to the house. It's like, no, the problem was going to the house where the 13-year-old girl was there alone and you had solicited her saying you wanted to have sex with her. That is the reason it's wrong. It's not that you went to the house.
So why do you think you're here?
Because I went to that house.
Yeah. And how did you learn about that house?
By talking to that girl.
Do you remember what the girl's name is?
Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
And like this, obviously there's this female detective there, and then there's like the bigger, scarier looking guy that's kind of just sitting there leaning against the wall. But I think it kind of works well a lot of the time to have, and she's talking to him, like in her mind, she probably just thinks he's a complete scumbag, but she's talking to him very, very nicely, very gently. She's basically treating him like a toddler. Because I bet you if that guy was grilling him, John Dupee would be so scared he would probably just clam up and he would not confess or anything. He would just be like way too intimidated. So it kind of works just to treat him with the kid gloves and treat him very nicely and talk to him very softly, just so he kind of opens up more. Even though it probably goes against everything she is thinking inside of her head. But if your job is to get a confession, it's like, well, I guess that's a good way to do it. But just the fact that even the guy that's the detective that's interrogating Jeff Sokol, he talks to him kind of like man to man. He doesn't treat him with the kid gloves. So just like what a little wuss that John Dupee is, that she has to just treat him like this because he's on the verge of breaking down. Like, what a loser.
And how were you talking to Bailey? Were you talking on the phone?
Both.
like actual voice-to-voice conversations?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, boo.
Hi, baby. What you doing?
What are you doing?
Nothing. What are you doing?
I'm just waiting for you.
Oh, are you?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I love you.
How did you...
Yeah, the word cringe kind of gets thrown around a bit too much these days, but I can't think of any better word to describe that conversation. What a boring conversation too. What are you up to? Nothing. You just missing you. It's like, good lord.
Did you first meet her?
On the internet?
What part of the internet? An application?
Mm-hmm.
What was the app?
Whisper.
Okay. And what about you wanting to feel... You want her to feel you inside her. I mean, I know what that means to me.
I know, I should never...
And it's funny because that's the same line that Chris Hansen brought up. Like, it was his most graphic line, but it's the most incriminating one. Like, there's no innuendo in saying that. There's no second meaning. There's no way it could be misinterpreted. It's like with that one stupid thing he said, he sunk himself.
You want her to feel you inside her. I mean, I know what that means to me.
I know, I should never said no stupid shit like that.
And you're talking about wanting to make her calm.
I know. That was just all.
What did you think that...
I know.
I wonder if
That was just all. Shit like that.
I know they kind of say that you're supposed to, we're talking to someone like this, you're supposed to mirror, it's like a psychological trick to mirror how they're sitting or whatever, which she's doing. I wonder if she's doing that. I have to imagine she's doing it intentionally, because he's sitting there leaned forward with his hand on her face, and she's doing the exact same thing with the exact same hand.
And you're talking about wanting to make her calm.
I know. That was just all.
What did you think that, what is she supposed to read from that?
Well, honestly, when I was talking to her, I was hoping that there was a chance that, that it was just, I don't even know why I said that to her.
Yeah. Alright, let's stand up. I'm gonna stand up and turn around. Hold your back. I don't have my keys again.
Dupy was released from prison last summer after serving 3 years. And yeah, if you listen to Chris Hansen's podcast, he talks about this guy's sister and brother were both killed in a car accident. I think the brother was he was either drunk or on drugs or something and crashed the car, and they were both killed. And John basically is now living in a homeless shelter. And there is, I've seen online somewhere, I don't know if it was on YouTube or some temple of TCAP or somewhere, they have a more current picture of John Dupee. And I don't know if it's just, he put on a bit of weight and doesn't look like such a drug addict anymore. He looks better, as better as he could. He doesn't look as ghoulish and scary, but apparently his life has not improved. And it's one of those things that's if your life gets that far off track and you're not willing to, do what's necessary to get it back on track, it's going to be your life is just going to be hell. It's just going to be a series of incidents like this, and it's going to be bad for everyone around you. Obviously, the car accident was not directly related to his actions, but it's kind of once you're once you go down this path, your life is going to be a series of tragedies. Obviously, good people have bad things that happen to them too, but just the fact that he's homeless, he can't work, and there's nothing wrong with him. He's not missing limbs. He's able-bodied. He could get a job, kick his drug habit, get help, get a job, use that money to get an apartment, and then work at your job and save your money, and then get a car, and then look for better opportunities, and then find a healthy adult romantic relationship. There's nothing standing in his way. He's not a brilliant guy, but he's not so dumb where he has some sort of mental impairment. He has enough intelligence that he could just be a normal person who works a job and is a respectable contributing member of society. But the fact that he's unwilling to do that, it's just, I don't know what to do with people like that. It's a societal problem that I don't have a solution for. Maybe there isn't one, but yeah, there we have it. That's John Dupee. He's probably one of the biggest loser predators that has nothing to go for them. There's other guys that have good jobs and stable lives and everything, and they screw it up. But it's almost like John had nothing to lose. Like, it's just another thing to add to his list of scumbaggery that he's been living his whole life. Probably going to meet some sort of tragic fate. Like, I can't see this guy living to old age. Like, he's probably going to be murdered at some point, or overdose, or, you know, stabbed in a homeless shelter. Like, something bad's going to happen to this guy, because, like, he just gets himself into these situations, and I don't see it improving. But then again, I've never met the man, and, you know, it's kind of hard to say. But anyways, thanks again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.